You adapt to the impossible, the alien said, her voice filled with wonder. You breathe oxygen, a volatile, poisonous gas to most life forms. You drink dihydrogen monoxide, a substance that, for many, would be deadly. You are fragile, yet you endure. You heal from injuries that would cripple most species. You run toward danger, not away from it. You live. Lena's smile faded as she began to understand. So you really thought we were just stories? Yes, the alien said, her tone quiet, almost reverent. We were told you could create entire civilizations from nothing, reshape entire worlds. You can dream of things that don't yet exist and then make them real. You create art, technology, and hope. You are beings driven by hope. No one could believe that was possible. How could a species so fragile hold something so powerful? Lena paused, letting the words sink in. You're saying the galaxy thought we were a fairy tale, that we couldn't possibly exist. The alien's eyes flickered with what seemed like a mixture of awe and fear. Yes, and now I see you standing here, alive. You are impossible. Lena couldn't help but let out a small laugh. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we're very real, and we're not going anywhere. The alien stepped closer, her glowing skin shimmering with each movement. Her expression softened, and for a moment, Lena saw something in her eyes that almost resembled admiration. Would you mind if I touched you? The alien asked, almost shyly. Lena was caught off guard. It wasn't something she had expected, but she could sense no malice in the alien's request. She nodded slowly. Go ahead. The alien extended her hand, and Lena held her breath as the cool, silver fingers brushed against her skin. A strange warmth spread through her arm as the alien's touch lingered. It was almost as though the touch carried some kind of energy, something Lena couldn't quite explain. The alien gasped, pulling her hand back suddenly, her eyes wide with astonishment. You're warm, your skin soft, and your heart, it beats. She looked at Lena in disbelief. You live. Lena could feel her pulse quicken, but she tried to maintain her composure. Yeah, that's kind of the point of being human. We're alive. We live. The alien stepped back, her glowing patterns dimming slightly. I've never felt anything like it. You are unlike anything I've ever encountered. You are so fragile, yet so strong. Your heart beats with something more than just survival. It beats with life itself. Hope. She shook her head slowly, as if struggling to understand. The galaxy doesn't know how to handle you. Lena's eyes narrowed slightly. What do you mean? What's wrong with us being alive? The alien hesitated, as though trying to find the right words. The galaxy is afraid of things it cannot control. And you, humans, you defy all the rules. You shouldn't exist. You shouldn't have survived. Yet here you are. If the galaxy knew you were real, everything would change. Lena felt a shiver run down her spine at the alien's words. So what? You think we're dangerous just because we're alive? Just because we exist? The alien's eyes met hers. I don't know if dangerous is the right word, but you are something new. Something that could change everything. And I've come to see you, to see if you really exist. Because if you do, the galaxy will never be the same. Lena felt a surge of determination. Well, we're not going anywhere. You can tell your people that humans are real, and we're here to stay. The alien's gaze softened, and for the first time, she smiled. A quiet, thoughtful smile. Then maybe it is time the galaxy learned what it truly means to live. Lena stood across from the alien woman, her mind still spinning with the revelation that the people of the galaxy thought humans were nothing more than a myth. The encounter had left her both stunned and curious. There was so much more to unpack, and she wasn't going to let this opportunity slip by. She needed answers. The alien had taken a few steps back, her silver skin glowing faintly as the air around them hummed with quiet energy. It was clear that Lena wasn't the only one processing the situation. The alien's gaze flickered over Lena, taking in every small detail, as though she were trying to understand something impossible. Captain Lena Carter stood alone on the observation deck of the Endeavour, her ship hovering above a strange and mysterious planet. The large windows offered a breathtaking view of the stars, twinkling in the vastness of space. But tonight, the stars didn't seem to hold their usual comfort. Her mind was preoccupied with the strange transmission they had received earlier, a signal unlike anything her team had ever encountered. It wasn't just noise or random static. It was deliberate. Lena's crew had traced the signal to the surface of a planet that didn't even show up on most galactic maps, a planet lost in the black void of space. The scans had shown something extraordinary, an alien presence. Someone, or something, was down there. But that wasn't the most startling part. When they had made contact with the being, it didn't respond like any alien species Lena had encountered. No demands, no aggression, just silence. An eerie silence that seemed to say, "I'm waiting for you." Now Lena was pacing back and forth in the ship's observation deck, her boots making soft sounds against the metal floor. The quiet hum of the ship surrounded her. Her fingers were tense, resting on the edge of the control panel, and her thoughts raced. She'd ordered the landing party to prepare for an encounter, but she didn't know what kind of encounter it would be. Alien life was always a gamble, no matter how much you prepared for it. Then the door behind her slid open with a soft hiss. She turned around quickly to see her chief officer, Lieutenant Ramos, entering. His usual calm expression was strained, his eyes filled with worry. "Captain," Ramos began, his voice low, "the alien is waiting for you in the docking bay. She insists on speaking with you alone." "Alone?" Lena raised an eyebrow. "Is that even safe?" "I can't say," Ramos replied. "But we've checked the ship. There's nothing on sensors to suggest a threat." Lena took a deep breath and nodded. She wasn't going to let fear stand in the way of her duty. They had made first contact. She couldn't back out now. "All right," she said, her voice steady. "I'll handle it. Keep the crew on standby." Ramos nodded and stepped aside, allowing Lena to exit the observation deck and make her way down the long corridor to the docking bay. Her boots echoed softly in the silence, and as she approached the bay, she felt her heart quicken. This was it, the moment every explorer dreamed of, the first encounter with an unknown species. When she entered the docking bay, she was met with a sight unlike any she had expected. The figure standing there wasn't a towering, intimidating creature with sharp claws or fangs. Instead, it was a slender woman. No, more like an entity, graceful and glowing faintly. Her skin was smooth, almost metallic, and its silver sheen seemed to ripple with an internal light, as if it were alive. She stood in the center of the room, her large, glowing eyes fixed on Lena, studying her with a quiet intensity. Her presence was somehow both calming and overwhelming at the same time. Lena stopped a few feet away from the alien, unsure of what to say. The air between them felt thick, as though something ancient was hanging in the balance. For a long moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the ship's engines. Then the alien spoke. "You're real." Her voice was soft but strong, like a melody that echoed in the room. "I never thought humans were real. I thought you were just a myth, a story." Lena's eyebrows furrowed, and she took a step forward, trying to process the words. "What do you mean, a myth?" she asked, her voice steady, but confusion tinged with curiosity. The alien tilted her head slightly, her long silver hair flowing as though moving in an invisible wind. "Humans were supposed to be impossible. Stories told to children about beings from a death world, where survival was a battle every day. You were supposed to be creatures of legend. But..." She looked at Lena more closely, as though studying her every detail. "You're standing right here. Real. Alive." Lena took a moment to let the words sink in. So you've heard stories about us, but you didn't think we actually existed. The alien nodded slowly. Yes, most beings in the galaxy believe that humans were just a tale. Your world is said to be filled with dangers that should have wiped you out long ago. The environment itself is said to be too harsh, too unforgiving for life to thrive. But you survived. You became more than just survivors. You thrived. Lena couldn't help but smile at the alien's awe. You could say we're good at surviving. We have a knack for adapting. The alien listened carefully, trying to absorb Lena's explanation. But if they had known what you were capable of, if they had seen the proof you showed me, surely they would have understood. Why would they think you would become a threat? Lena sighed deeply, a sadness in her eyes. It wasn't just about our abilities. It was about our history. You see, we've made a lot of mistakes. Humanity has a long history of violence, war, and destruction. Our past is filled with conflicts that nearly wiped us out. We fought each other over land, resources, and ideologies. For centuries, we've been our own worst enemy. The alien looked at her, puzzled. But that was in the past, wasn't it? You've changed. You've learned from your mistakes. Lena nodded, her voice quiet but firm. Yes, we've changed. But the galaxy didn't see that. When humanity first began exploring space, the other species looked at our past and made their judgment. They saw the violence, the wars, and the scars of our history. They feared that we would bring that same violence to the stars. The alien's brow furrowed. But not all species in the galaxy have perfect histories. Every civilization has made mistakes. Lena smiled sadly. Yes, you're right. But the difference is that humanity's mistakes were, well, they were a lot harder to ignore. We fought wars that nearly destroyed the planet. We had nuclear weapons, weapons that could end all life on Earth. There were times when it seemed like we were on the verge of annihilating ourselves. The alien's eyes widened. So you were on the brink of extinction, and that's why they feared you. Lena nodded. Exactly. We were on the brink of destroying ourselves, and it's not something that other species forgot easily. When humanity reached out to the stars, the galaxy saw the scars of our past and decided that we weren't ready. They decided we needed to be kept in isolation until we proved that we could handle the responsibility of being part of something bigger, until we showed them that we could be trusted. The alien looked at her with a mix of sympathy and confusion. But if you've changed, if you've learned, why didn't they see that? Why didn't they give you a chance? Lena thought for a moment before speaking. Because, unfortunately, the galaxy's leadership isn't just about making the right choices. It's about power. And power often comes from fear. The leaders of the galaxy were afraid that if humans were allowed to join the greater community, we might upset the balance. We might disrupt the peace that had been carefully maintained for so long. She paused, a bitterness creeping into her voice. And there's another reason. Humans are different. The rest of the galaxy, as I've learned, doesn't always understand us. Our emotions, our way of thinking, it's not the same as theirs. We're more impulsive, more driven by emotion than logic. That unpredictability frightened them. And in a way, it still does. The alien's expression softened. So they feared you because you were unpredictable, because you didn't follow their rules. But what about now? Now that you've proven yourselves, now that you've shown them what you can do you think they'll accept you? Lena's heart ached at the question. It was one she had asked herself countless times. I don't know. I really don't. But what I do know is that we've earned the right to try. We've worked so hard to get to this point. And we've changed. Our history doesn't define us anymore. What defines us is what we choose to do today. And today, we're ready to show the galaxy who we really are. The alien nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. I see now. You were denied because they feared what you might become, but that fear was based on the past, not the present. And now, They have to see that you've changed, that you are capable of something greater than they ever imagined. Lena smiled, a sense of hope rising in her chest. Exactly. We've learned from our mistakes. We've learned to work together, to build a future that doesn't repeat the horrors of the past. We've learned that it's not just about survival. It's about living. It's about creating something better. The alien looked at her, a sense of understanding finally settling in her eyes. Perhaps the galaxy needs to learn that too. Perhaps it's not just about keeping balance. Perhaps it's about growth, about change, and about giving others the chance to prove that they can be something better. Lena nodded, her voice filled with conviction. That's what I believe, and it's why I'm not going to stop trying. We deserve a chance. We deserve to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Lena raised an eyebrow. You've never needed hope. The alien shook her head. In my culture, we've never understood the need for it. We were taught that survival was about cold logic, knowledge, and strength. Hope, it was never something we thought about. But now, seeing you, I understand that you don't just survive. You thrive because of it. Lena's heart skipped a beat at the alien's words. She had never really stopped to think about how essential hope was to her survival, to the survival of humanity. She had always just accepted it as a part of who she was, but now she realized that hope wasn't something everyone shared. It wasn't something that everyone even understood. So, in your stories, Lena continued, humans were said to be mythical beings, creatures who survived impossible odds, who kept fighting and living no matter what. That's what you were taught. The alien nodded solemnly. Yes. And the stories didn't stop there. It was said that humans could change the universe, that you could create things that didn't exist before, build civilizations from nothing. You were builders. You shaped the world around you with your bare hands, and you made it better. Lena thought about the words the alien had just spoken. We've done some impressive things, sure. We've built cities, technologies, and structures that have changed the way we live. But we didn't do it alone. We did it together. As a species, we work with one another to make things happen. The alien's eyes were wide with awe as she processed Lena's words. Together. You worked together. But your world was a death world. You should have destroyed one another. You should have fought and killed each other to survive. That's what the stories say. That's what they told us. And yet, you worked together. Lena smiled. We don't always get it right, but we try. We're not perfect, but we've learned that working together is the only way to move forward. The alien was silent for a long time, her glowing patterns shifting as if she were deep in thought. Then she spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't understand. How can you be so different from everything we've known? How can you be real? Lena stood there, staring at the alien, feeling a surge of pride and something else. Something she couldn't quite name. Because we're human. We're stubborn. We're resilient. And we never give up. We don't let our challenges define us. We define ourselves. The alien looked at Lena for a long moment, as if trying to see into her very soul. Finally, she spoke, her voice tinged with awe. Perhaps the stories were wrong. Perhaps humans are not a myth. Perhaps you are something more. Lena nodded slowly. We are. And we're here. We're real. And we're not going anywhere. Lena couldn't shake the feeling that this conversation with the alien was something monumental. It wasn't just the fact that she was speaking to an alien being who had traveled from far across the galaxy. It was the idea that humans, her people, were considered nothing more than myths, stories passed down by civilizations too far away to fully understand the reality of Earth. The alien, whose name Lena still hadn't learned, stood across from her, a faint glow radiating from her silver skin. Her large, reflective eyes seemed to study Lena as though she was something entirely new, something the alien couldn't quite comprehend. Lena, on the other hand, had a lot of questions of her own. The more the alien spoke, the more intrigued she became. This alien culture had never encountered a species quite like humans. What they considered impossible, human survival against all odds, the ability to adapt, the power of hope, was a complete mystery to them. Lena took a deep breath, her voice steady as she spoke. So, you've been told that humans are myths. You've heard the stories about our world, Earth. But now that you've met me, you're still not convinced, are you? The alien's gaze softened, but there was a hint of uncertainty in her eyes. I want to believe you. I do. But after centuries of stories, of being told that you were nothing more than a legend, I need more than just words. I need proof. Lena nodded slowly, understanding the alien's need for certainty. She could see why the alien would be so skeptical. Humans were a mystery to everyone, even their own kind. They didn't fit into the neat little boxes the rest of the galaxy had set for life. But Lena wasn't about to let that stand in the way of proving humanity's existence. All right, Lena said, her voice calm but filled with determination. If it's proof you need, then I'll give it to you. I'll show you that humans are more than just a myth, but you'll need to see for yourself. The alien's eyes narrowed in curiosity. You'll show me. Yes, Lena replied confidently. You think that humans couldn't possibly have survived Earth's harsh environment. You think we're nothing more than survivors, barely hanging on. But I'm going to show you that we're so much more than that. We have something that no other species has, something that makes us truly unique. The alien tilted her head, as if trying to make sense of Lena's words. What do you mean? What could you possibly show me that would prove your existence? Lena smiled, her eyes glinting with a quiet, unspoken challenge. I'm going to show you our resilience, our ingenuity. I'll show you how we've built not just civilizations, but entire worlds. You'll see that we are a species capable of change, capable of creating, capable of living. With that, Lena turned and gestured toward the nearby door of the docking bay. Come with me. The alien followed silently, her eyes fixed on Lena's every movement. They walked through the corridors of the Endeavor, the quiet hum of the ship's engines accompanying their footsteps. As they reached the ship's central command area, Lena turned and addressed the crew, who were gathered around their stations, watching the exchange with curiosity. Prepare for a demonstration, Lena ordered, her voice clear and authoritative. We're going to show our guest exactly what humanity is capable of. The crew moved swiftly, working in perfect coordination, as they always did. Lena had worked with these people for years, and she knew that, just like her, they were eager to prove that humanity was more than just a myth. Within minutes, the ship's large viewing screen came to life. The screen displayed a view of Earth, her home, the home of all humans. The lush blue oceans, the green forests, the snow-capped mountains, the sprawling cities. It was all there. Lena watched the alien's expression closely, noting the way her eyes widened in surprise. This is Earth, Lena said. Our home. The alien stared at the screen for a long moment, her gaze filled with awe and disbelief. But how? The stories said it was a dying world, a place that couldn't sustain life. It said your people would have been wiped out by the planet itself. Lena shook her head. The stories were wrong. Earth isn't perfect, but it's our home. We've learned to live with its dangers and make it work. We're not afraid of it. We've built cities, technologies, and ways of living that have allowed us to survive and thrive in a place that others would consider uninhabitable. She tapped a few buttons on the console in front of her, and the screen shifted, showing a view of the bustling cityscape of New York. Skyscrapers reached toward the sky, while hundreds of thousands of people moved through the streets below. This, Lena said, is just one example of what humans have accomplished. This city alone holds millions of people, each living and contributing in their own way. Every person here is part of something greater than themselves. We work together to solve problems, to overcome challenges, to create something new. The alien looked at the screen, then back at Lena, her expression one of wonder and confusion. But how? Your world was supposed to be a wasteland. There shouldn't be so much life, so much growth. Lena smiled, her eyes softening. We've learned to adapt. We've used technology to shape our environment to suit our needs. We've created sustainable energy sources, developed new medicines to cure diseases, and built structures that can withstand nature's worst. We've even sent humans to the moon and beyond. The alien took a step closer to the screen, her gaze flickering over the images, as though she was trying to understand how any of this was possible. And all of this, you did it together. Despite the dangers, despite everything you faced. Yes, Lena said firmly. We didn't do it alone. We did it by working together. Humans may be fragile, but we have something that other species don't have. The ability to hope, to dream, and to push forward even when everything seems impossible. She paused for a moment, letting the weight of her words settle in. And that is the proof. Not just of our existence, but of who we are. We are more than just survivors. We are builders, creators, dreamers. We shape our world because we believe that it's worth shaping. The alien was silent for a long moment, her large eyes scanning the images on the screen. Lena could see the wheels turning in her mind, the confusion slowly giving way to something else, something resembling understanding. You created all of this, the alien whispered, from nothing. From a world that was supposed to destroy you, and you didn't just survive, you thrived. Lena nodded. That's right. We've made Earth a place where life can flourish, where hope can exist. And that's the greatest proof of all. We aren't just a myth. We're real. We've built this world, and we're capable of even more. The alien's expression softened, and for the first time, Lena saw a flicker of something in her eyes, a deep respect, perhaps even admiration. I see now. You are not what we were told. You are something far greater. Lena smiled. We're just humans, and we're not going anywhere. The alien took a step back, her eyes still locked on the images of Earth. Your world is so full of life, so full of possibility. I can see why the galaxy fears you. You have the power to change everything. The power to create, to build, to dream. Lena watched the alien, her heart swelling with pride. This was the moment. She had shown the alien what humanity was truly capable of. She had proven that they were more than just stories. They were real. They were alive. And they were here to stay. I told you, Lena said quietly. Hope is what drives us. It's what makes us who we are. And as long as we have hope, we'll keep building. We'll keep dreaming. The alien turned to face Lena, her expression serious yet filled with wonder. I believe you now. You are real. And you are more than a myth. Lena nodded, her smile widening. I'm glad you understand. Now it's time for you to tell the rest of the galaxy. After Lena had shown the alien the truth about humanity, how humans had adapted, survived, and thrived on Earth despite the harsh conditions, something began to change in the alien's eyes. The disbelief had faded, replaced with respect and wonder. But even with all the evidence in front of her, the alien seemed to be struggling with one lingering question. Lena noticed the alien's troubled expression and decided to break the silence. You're still thinking about something, Lena said gently. What is it? What's on your mind? The alien turned toward her slowly, as if unsure how to ask the question that was weighing on her. I understand now. Humans are real, the alien said quietly, her voice filled with awe. But there's something else I don't understand. If humans are so incredible, so resilient, why were you denied access to the rest of the galaxy? Why weren't you allowed to join the others? Why were you kept in isolation, in your tiny corner of the universe, while the rest of us built connections with each other? Lena stared at the alien, her heart heavy. The question cut deep, but it was one that she had asked herself many times. It was something she had struggled with, especially when humanity first reached out beyond Earth, hoping to make contact with the greater galactic community. The truth, however, had always been much more complicated. Lena took a deep breath, trying to find the right words to explain. She knew that this conversation was about to uncover painful truths that might be hard to hear, but it was necessary. If humanity was ever going to find its place in the galaxy, it needed to understand why it had been shut out for so long. Humans were denied access to the rest of the galaxy, Lena began slowly, because of something called fear. The alien blinked, clearly surprised by Lena's answer. Fear. But why fear? You've shown me that humans are capable of so much. Why would anyone fear you? Lena shook her head, her eyes distant. The fear wasn't because of what we could do. The fear was because of what we might do. The other species in the galaxy, they saw our potential. But they didn't trust us. They saw us as dangerous, unpredictable. They feared that humanity's drive to survive would lead to chaos. They feared that we might one day become a threat to everyone else. The alien's eyes narrowed in curiosity. You'll show me. Yes, Lena replied confidently. You think that humans couldn't possibly have survived Earth's harsh environment. You think we're nothing more than survivors, barely hanging on. But I'm going to show you that we're so much more than that. We have something that no other species has, something that makes us truly unique. The alien tilted her head, as if trying to make sense of Lena's words. What do you mean? What could you possibly show me that would prove your existence? Lena smiled, her eyes glinting with a quiet, unspoken challenge. I'm going to show you our resilience, our ingenuity. I'll show you how we've built not just civilizations, but entire worlds. You'll see that we are a species capable of change, capable of creating, capable of living. With that, Lena turned and gestured toward the nearby door of the docking bay. Come with me. The alien followed silently, her eyes fixed on Lena's every movement. They walked through the corridors of the Endeavor, the quiet hum of the ship's engines accompanying their footsteps. As they reached the ship's central command area, Lena turned and addressed the crew, who were gathered around their stations, watching the exchange with curiosity. Prepare for a demonstration, Lena ordered, her voice clear and authoritative. We're going to show our guest exactly what humanity is capable of. The crew moved swiftly, working in perfect coordination, as they always did. Lena had worked with these people for years, and she knew that, just like her, they were eager to prove that humanity was more than just a myth. Within minutes, the ship's large viewing screen came to life. The screen displayed a view of Earth, her home, the home of all humans. The lush blue oceans, the green forests, the snow-capped mountains, the sprawling cities. It was all there. Lena watched the alien's expression closely, noting the way her eyes widened in surprise. This is Earth, Lena said. Our home. The alien stared at the screen for a long moment, her gaze filled with awe and disbelief. But how? The stories said it was a dying world, a place that couldn't sustain life. It said your people would have been wiped out by the planet itself. Lena shook her head. The stories were wrong. Earth isn't perfect, but it's our home. We've learned to live with its dangers and make it work. We're not afraid of it. We've built cities, technologies, and ways of living that have allowed us to survive and thrive in a place that others would consider uninhabitable. She tapped a few buttons on the console in front of her, and the screen shifted, showing a view of the bustling cityscape of New York. Skyscrapers reached toward the sky, while hundreds of thousands of people moved through the streets below. This, Lena said, is just one example of what humans have accomplished. This city alone holds millions of people, each living and contributing in their own way. Every person here is part of something greater than themselves. We work together to solve problems, to overcome challenges, to create something new. The alien looked at the screen, then back at Lena, her expression one of wonder and confusion. But how? Your world was supposed to be a wasteland. There shouldn't be so much life, so much growth. Lena smiled, her eyes softening. We've learned to adapt. We've used technology to shape our environment to suit our needs. We've created sustainable energy sources, developed new medicines to cure diseases, and built structures that can withstand nature's worst. We've even sent humans to the moon and beyond. The alien took a step closer to the screen, her gaze flickering over the images, as though she was trying to understand how any of this was possible. And all of this, you did it together. Despite the dangers, despite everything you faced. Yes, Lena said firmly. We didn't do it alone. We did it by working together. Humans may be fragile, but we have something that other species don't have. The ability to hope, to dream, and to push forward even when everything seems impossible. She paused for a moment, letting the weight of her words settle in. And that is the proof. Not just of our existence, but of who we are. We are more than just survivors. We are builders, creators, dreamers. We shape our world because we believe that it's worth shaping. Lena decided to break the silence. So, you said humans are just a myth, a story. Tell me more about these stories. What exactly do they say about us? The alien's large, reflective eyes locked onto Lena's, and for a moment, there was a hesitation. The alien seemed almost hesitant to speak. But then, slowly, the alien began to share. In the stories, the alien began, her voice soft but steady. Humans are not like us. They are born from a world that should have destroyed them long ago. A world called Earth. She said the word with reverence, as if it carried some deep weight. Earth is said to be a death world, a place where the environment itself is hostile to life. It's said that your people survive not because the world is kind, but because you fight against it. Every day, you struggle against the land, the sky, the sea. Everything is a battle. Lena listened intently, a little amused at the alien's description of Earth. Sure, life on Earth could be harsh, but calling it a death world sounded a little dramatic. Still, it was interesting to hear it from the alien's perspective. Sounds a bit extreme, Lena said with a small smile. Sure, Earth has its dangers, but it's not all doom and gloom. We've learned to adapt, to live with it. The alien's eyes glowed brighter as she took a step closer. That's the part that doesn't make sense to us. You breathe oxygen, a substance that is toxic to almost all other life forms. Oxygen is an unstable gas that reacts with nearly everything. It should destroy you, and yet you breathe it in as if it's nothing. Lena laughed softly, a bit surprised at the alien's reaction. We've gotten used to it. I guess you could say we made oxygen work for us. We evolved to thrive in it. The alien paused, her face reflecting a deep confusion. How can that be possible? Oxygen is unstable, dangerous, deadly to most species, and you survive it. You live in it. Lena shrugged. We're pretty resourceful. It's just what we do. The alien's expression softened, as if the idea was beginning to make more sense. It's hard to believe. The stories told of humans always spoke of their ability to survive the impossible. On Earth, it is said that you drink water, dihydrogen monoxide, a compound that can be both destructive and essential, depending on how it's used. To most species, it is a poison or a danger, but humans drink it without hesitation. That's right, Lena said, her voice light. We drink water. It's part of life for us. The alien tilted her head in fascination. But it's not just water. There's more. Humans endure things that would break most others. You survive wounds, injuries, even conditions that should kill you. You heal. Your bodies heal. And you keep going. You don't stop. How is that possible? Lena's smile faded as she looked at the alien. That's what we do. We don't give up, even when it seems impossible. When we're injured, when we're hurt, we heal. Our bodies work tirelessly to fix what's broken. The alien took a step back, her glowing patterns shifting, flickering with confusion. You don't give up, no matter the odds. Lena nodded slowly. We don't. We fight to survive. We fight to make things better, even when the world around us is trying to break us down. The alien seemed almost overwhelmed by this idea. But how? How do you keep going when everything is against you? Lena thought for a moment, then spoke slowly, trying to explain something that she'd never really thought about in detail. I think it's because we have something that pushes us forward, something that gives us strength when we have nothing left. Something called hope. It's not something you can see or touch, but it's always there. It's what drives us to keep going, to make things better, even when the odds are stacked against us. The alien's eyes widened. Hope? You mean the stories were true? Lena nodded, a little surprised that the alien seemed so shocked. Yeah, hope. It's not just some fairy tale. It's what makes us who we are. It's why we keep pushing, even when it feels like the whole universe is trying to stop us. The alien looked away for a moment, as if processing the idea of hope. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter, almost reverent. I've never heard of anything like it. Hope is not something we know. It's not something we've ever needed.